Welcome to the PAC Show, the show that brings you all the highlights, the lowlights, the reviews, the previews, the news, and the interviews from rugby here in Australia and around the world.
We lost every game.
Always need to be heard, these bastards.
What? Puncho! What is happening? Samu Krebe! Samu, how you doing, brother? What is happening?
He's in the car.
Yes, the boys. Thank you, everyone.
With the best of friends.
Hilarious.
Yeah, one I won't remember. I will remember.
Yeah, we got him!
Can't be good at it. That's the one thing I'll leave you with.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the PAC Rugby Show. It's Wednesday evening. It's stormy. It's sexy. It's apparently hailing outside, but we're going to power through anyway. Tonight, it is absolutely heaving. Joining us in about 10, 15 odd minutes, we have the hero from the Fijian Drua just on the weekend. Kemu Valetini will be calling all the way in from Fiji. On top of that, Tongan Thor is going to be joining us for a yarn as well. It'll be good to get him on the blower. We've only got the best of him in the back seat of the car with Rob Leota and Pone and Alex Murphy, so it'll be good to get the big horse on the blower as well, just to get his thoughts on what's happening in rugby in the moment. Again, heaps of footy we've got to discuss. There's a lot of PAC news we want to get into, but before we can do any of that, I want to introduce our starters for this evening. Let me rephrase. Our starter, unfortunately, Doss is a late scratching, so Dowell's riding Pine all by himself, unfortunately. Doss's missus is right on the brink of having a bub, so he had to pull the pin last minute, which is all well and good. And then, look, we lose one of our starters, one of the guys that really holds this place together. It is Doss, but thankfully, Big Fat Das is by himself tonight. The grill switch couldn't be here, so Big Fat Das.
Kick it out. Look at that.
Laying down on the couch all by himself. The Battlers bench. Big Fat Das, how you feeling, mate? You excited?
Good now, roomy. I'm excited. Nothing weighing me down, right? It's hailing, as we talked about before. It's going to be a good one. Finally. We're going to get a good one, I think.
Let's rip through it, because if it is hailing, well then, we're all doomed, I suppose. But there's plenty of things we want to discuss before we, as I said, Kemu will be joining us in about 10, 15 odd minutes all the way from Fiji. But plenty of big news. And in particular, Dallin, get your thoughts on this. There's so much being said around the Lions series 2 years from now. There's a huge amount of footy to be played in Australia over the next 10 years, and culminating essentially with the start of that Lions series. And there's a lot of chat that it's pretty much a done deal that Brizzy probably won't actually have one of the tests. Sydney and Melbourne already locked in from long-term government deals, but Brizzy's probably not going to get one of the test matches.
Well, it's absolutely gutting, isn't it? I mean, as a Brisbane person and someone who's grown up here, you know what I mean? It's synonymous with the Lions series and having them here. So it's obviously devastating for the state, but at the same time, it's wonderful to, you know, if it is South Australia or WA, whichever it is, it's wonderful for those two to have the opportunity to host it.
I mean, what do you do, Das? I mean, like, that. Look, the Lions tour, no matter which way you skin it, there's plenty of football to be played. So they are going to go to emerging markets anyway. You know, Townsville, South Australia probably would have got one. WA definitely, all this sort of stuff. So do you take away from what is arguably the second, if not the strongest rugby playing state in Australia, one of the biggest opportunities to host a major showpiece event, to go to another state when they're probably going to get a bit of love anyway? Or do you think it is a great opportunity for WA or South Australia?
Well, it obviously is that, but you just got to remember the last Lions tour, the amount of effort that the Queensland government, Brisbane went to, where they re-levelled the whole of the Gabba, just so they could play that game at the Gabba in Brisbane, because were they
2001
Suncorp at the time? Or
2001, yeah, it was still getting
like the amount of effort, and that was a packed crowd. That was just
I was there.
The
it was
whole city.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was when I first heard the bullshit chant, and I was like, and it's like, what are they saying? And my brother and I are like, pretty sure they're saying bullshit. This is cool as.
How good's rugby?
Yeah. And then I think another kid was like, Dad, what are they saying? He's like, oh, they're just upset. It's all good.
Just upset.
But like, it was absolutely awesome. Like, you think about what Lions tests have meant to Brizzy. That 2001 match, I think that was the first one of the series, and the Lions went up. Brian O'Driscoll played the house down in 2013 or whatever it was. That was, I think it was Izzy Folau's debut. 2 tries on debut. Everyone was just shitting their pants over just how good it was. So, like, there's a pretty storied history in regards to Lions tests in Brisbane, and like, it would be there. It's said that it's about $1 million is the difference between going with WA or South Australia and Brisbane. I mean,
Yeah.
can you afford to turn that away, Dal? If you're Rugby Australia,
Yeah,
can you afford to?
Probably not.
But when you look at what's coming up, like sometimes the bigger picture is outside of the monetary value, you know, but you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. And maybe they're looking at it from a perspective of the Lions are going to play the Reds. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
but
there's that opportunity to fill the stadium, obviously. Have that
could you not have
opportunity.
taken that up to Townsville then?
Yeah, you probably could
I
have.
think Atco wrote an article the other day just outlining it. Queensland has a higher number of rugby players over rugby league players. Like, probably the only state in Australia, or rugby league versus rugby union state in Australia, that can argue that they can do so. And to be able to give Townsville Reds versus Lions and then have everybody come back for a Lions test at Suncorp, like, I don't know. It could be a huge missed opportunity, but then again, $1 million is $1 million, and grow the game in WA where it's pretty strong is pretty good. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Mate,
I think we're biased because
We are biased.
I just want to go to the
It's
Lions
got-
game, and Suncorp would be sick.
to be honest, I would like to go to that game. You know, but yeah, it's one of those ones. It would be a giant shame, but then again, those emerging markets, it would be great to see that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but it'll be interesting to see what happens from that. Now, interesting one coming out at the team list for the Tars was actually announced just earlier on today. I want to get your thoughts on this, Dallin. So we've seen now Max Jorgensen handed the starting 15 jersey as an 18-year-old. Ben Donaldson moving into 10. Two things. A, that's a huge amount of responsibility that DC is lumping onto the shoulders of Max Jorgensen, and obviously he's up to the task. But B, do you think this is the best Tars backline they've got with Donaldson, Jorgensen running the show?
It's a tough one. I definitely think they're the best when Donaldson's at 10. I
Yep.
love him more at 10. I think he's a lot more direct. I think he gets around the park a lot better. I think he's more of that level of 10 and beyond. He's more ready for Test rugby, which is why I enjoy more. I love Tane, but I feel like Donaldson's at that level. Jorgensen at the back, I think he's going to end up playing 15. I mean, he's looked very good over the first couple of rounds. Obviously had last week off. You know, I think he'll do a fine job back there. I feel like they're a little bit off. I don't know. Is Dylan Peach back yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So I feel like once he comes back, you know, he probably strengthens again, and it's no one going to need Tawasi as well. But you
And
know,
Nemsy off the bench or something.
yeah, I think so. And I think that's probably their best. But I think for now, yeah, Jorgensen at the back and having Tane on the bench and Donaldson at 10 is probably the best option, most definitely.
I mean, it is a huge amount of responsibility. DC is just showing so much faith. I think we were talking about Eddie on his podcast a few weeks ago, was saying that young 10s need to be backed in. You know, they did it with Quade Cooper in 2007 or 8 or whatever, and then a few years later he's the premier fly half in Super Rugby or whatever it may be, and it just, they're going to stuff up, they're going to make mistakes, but you need to back them in. I guess that's what they're doing with Donaldson, but I guess that's also what they're doing with Jorgensen at 15, big fat Das.
Yeah, and not Tane as well, like keeping him in the 23. This is only going to keep him in good stead towards the sticky end of the comp where pressure's on. They've all played a good amount of games. The fact that they have so many good options is awesome at this point in the season as well. So
Yeah.
the fact that they can just switch them playing 15 back to 10, back to 15.
But to be able
Yeah.
to have two genuine 10s
Yeah, that's-
in your match day 23
Yeah.
is absolutely huge. And I think we've actually seen that, like, there's an argument to be made that you almost need, like, Reece Hodge is a stopgap 10. We know that.
Yeah.
But having a legitimate 10, like a Donaldson who can play 10-15, or Steve Larkham used to do that, you know, could play 10-15. I think you do need a genuine 10 on the bench to step in if need be, but then maybe does have the utility factor. And I guess that's what Ben Donaldson has, but maybe not Tane Edmed at this stage. So, but it's still good that they're able to have two class 10s in there, and then you've got Dylan Peach to come back. You've got Nems on one sting, Marky Mark on another, Max Jorgensen. Like, they're in they're in a pretty bloody good position. One thing as well, so there's been Rugby Australia said they're going to take into consideration the recommendations to reduce the tackle height in certain club fixtures from shoulder level down to sternum level. So this is something coming out of World Rugby that they are going to try as a trial, and it is going to be an opt-in basis. I don't necessarily have a say in this. Like, I can understand where they're coming from, but I can also understand why people are also sort of vehemently against it. Dal, your thoughts on it? Do you think this is something that maybe has some benefit until sort of age group stuff, maybe?
Keep in mind, he's a 10 that never liked being tackled at all, right?
Yeah, but
keep
then
that in mind,
we
right?
lost Freeney for the night too.
That's
so
true.
He would have been like, yeah, let's just let them
rip
rip
their heads off. Yeah,
rip their head off and shit down their neck. So it's like, I don't know. I sit on the fence in this. I can see where both parties are coming from, but
Yeah, it's hard. I just think it needs to be adjudicated. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I think you keep it at shoulder height. You know what I mean? You get on with it. You need to teach from a younger age. You know what I mean? A lot better. Implement a lot more coaching in that space to make sure that when they're making their tackles, they're doing a better job at lowering their height. But it needs to be adjudicated at the higher level, and as we progress through, do you know what I mean? With a little bit of understanding of, well, you know, he didn't mean that. Do you know what I mean? There was no malice in it. Let's, you know, kind of move on and move forward.
It is. It seems like they are just continually going for it's World Rugby to a T.
100%.
Like, they literally, we've got an issue. Let's take it to the nth degree before everybody goes, this is nuts, and then maybe we'll scale it back a little bit. But again, it just comes down to coaching and it comes down to technique. But you got to remember as well. Look at was it Gary Ringrose just recently? He got knocked out in a massive way from trying to tackle someone around the hips. Poor tackle technique.
Exactly.
Yep.
You know, like, poor tackle technique, be it someone coming in and putting on a high shot or someone in the tackle, like the actual tackler getting concussed. A lot of the time, 95% of the time, it's poor tackle technique. It's not maliciousness, and it's not actually, like, it wouldn't actually be affected by, you know, these rules, if that makes sense.
I think Dow was on it before about the how it's run at a game level, and maybe because World Rugby, if it is going to come in, at least they're trying it out in certain community football. That way you can the plumbers.
Yeah, sound like the plumbers.
That way, maybe we'll get away from what happened when they brought in the zero contact to the head rule, where there was no common sense from the referees, where it's like technically that people can pick and drive and people are getting sent off it. So maybe if, like, putting it in practice, they'll be able to figure out, like, get rid of all those possible issues, and with better technique.
Well, the thing is, like, Andy Moreno said that, you know, that all they're literally doing is just they're going to keep an eye on things and see what actual conclusive evidence comes out of it. There's a study going on at QUT in regards to, you know, concussion and tackle technique and all this sort of stuff where they're actually using AI. So, like, there's a lot of moving parts involved in this, and so I can understand a knee-jerk reaction from everyone being like, this is ridiculous, but I can also understand where World Rugby's coming from. But to, like, dictate past sort of, like, your teenage years that you can't tackle above the sternum is pretty wild to me. It would be pretty wild if this sticks. Anyway, did you guys see GIO Stadium on the weekend out of the Brumbies game? Awesome to get them involved. It was a kids' post-match. Did you see they were allowed on the field? Do you remember doing that back at Ballymore back in the day? As soon as the game was blown, you'd piss bolt onto the field and try and steal one of the
corner posts.
Corner posts. Yeah. And they were wild, mate. They were absolutely wild.
Yeah.
They need to be bringing this stuff back because it's an awesome opportunity, like, to get up close and personal with the players. And it's just it's an awesome vibe.
I even remember at Ballymore, standing on the field, everyone had, like, their little mini footballs, and you're playing a game in the dead ball zone. Then you're like, "Where's my dad?" And you're like, "Oh, he's still at the at the Reds bar." And you're like, "We got to go, Dad." But and then all the Nudgy guys and Ashgrove guys would come and ruin everything. Isn't that right, Dal?
Probably.
But no, I love that. Getting down on the field, that's what rugby's all about. But then I remember it got to a point at Ballymore where everyone was looking at the clock, and like getting ready to run on the field, and they had to put fences up. And if it's done properly, then good. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
and
it was wild, man.
It'd go 80 minutes, people just start running on. You're like, no, rugby union,
Yeah.
we play till the last.
Yeah, it
like
would.
people tackle. So I do.
I understand where they're
yeah,
coming
yeah.
from. Like
Maybe
it is a litigious age
yes,
nowadays,
at
but
a
at the
proper
same time, man,
let
done
on.
well, it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah, I
but
love
like, I mean, just imagine just every game, 80th minute, it's like Buddy Franklin kicking his thousands. Everyone's like, yeah, trying to steal someone's boots and shit.
Stop the game.
Yeah.
Start it up again. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
just
guys.
everyone flogging all their gear. Now, last thing before we kick it over to Kemu, we saw on the weekend, look, let's just lead into this. Fiji and Drua upsetting the Satyrs. Absolutely massive boil over. Like, this was absolutely huge. And before we kick it over to Kemu, we'll just run through what his Saturday looked like. 80th minute, trailing by 2, comes on for his Super Rugby debut. 81st minute, narrowly misses the game-winning drop goal, and then 82nd minute, slots the winning penalty in front of a packed house. It doesn't get much better than that. And joining us all the way from Fiji, we have the man himself, Kemu Valetini. Kemu, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you guys?
Living the dream, mate. We just went through, obviously, your Saturday. It was 2 minutes of absolute power coming off the bench for you, mate. But run us through, like, what's going through your head at that time, mate. Like, as we said, you come on in the back end of a game against the reigning Super Rugby champion 6 times on the trot, and you've got the opportunity to ice them on debut. I mean, what's going through your head, mate? That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, probably not much. Like in like the first 30 seconds, like I'm probably just a little bit in awe of like that I'm actually on the field, because the whole time I was sitting on the bench, like for like
crowd.
77 minutes, I'm just sitting on the bench and the crowd's going crazy, and the game's still on the bounce. You know, they can win it from anywhere. Yeah, then they score that try, and I'm just like, once they score that try, I was like, fuck. Like, I already knew that. You know?
Yeah, you and me both, man. I was like, oh, shit, here we go. Well, I think you guys came from, was it 12-0 down, led 24-12 with about 8 minutes to go. And then, as you said, they score that final try and put it in front. I mean, it would have been absolutely electric there, mate. But, like, that crowd was just absolutely loose.
Yeah. I don't know. They just love rugby here. Like, especially when the overseas teams come over to play, they really just come out and show in numbers, and like that crowd throughout the whole 80 minutes was just cheering for anything, whether it was a kick into the touch or a scrum, a run out, one run out. Like, they were just going crazy. So throughout the whole game, like, the crowd was just on. So no, it was really cool to go out there and I guess make my debut in front of them, and ultimately win the game for us, which is pretty cool.
Kemu, obviously, congratulations, mate. Outstanding on the weekend. I want to talk to you about a little bit about your journey and what's kind of happened over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. Spent some time at the Rising, 2018, time in Spain as well, and obviously back playing for Manly Marlins this year. Now you're finding yourself, kicking penalty goals to beat the Crusaders. What's it been like for you? Obviously, providing now into a fully professional setup as well. What's it been like?
It's been a pretty long journey. It's a tough one as well. Like, just probably in that 2018 season with the Rising, I probably wasn't as a mature player as I am now. Just probably wasn't ready at that time, like, mentally to probably take that next step. So I had to take some time away, but also had a few injuries along the way, ACL, meniscus, like, probably was at least having the surgery a year after that season. So it was a tough slog to kind of get back in here. Then, last year just made the decision to go to Manly, and I just told my missus, like, I'll just give it one more crack and see what happens. She's like, all right, okay, you can, you can give it one more go, because I had to move away from her because I was living in Melbourne at the time, so I had to move away from her. She was nearing that like long distance, like, because we had been doing long distance for a long time. So she was like, all right, you can give it one more go. And then I just put my head down, trained hard, and had a decent season at Manly, and then just had to get approached by the Drua coaching staff.
Cool. And that approach, is it, do they approach you and say, like, here's a full-time contract, or have you gone over there and had to prove yourself? What's that process been like to now end up, kicking a winning penalty goal against the Crusaders?
They kind of just actually got approached by one of the staff after a game at North Sydney. We played against North Sydney, and he just asked me. He didn't really hang around too much. He's like, "Oh, are you interested in coming and joining the drill for pre-season?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be keen." And then didn't really hear from them for about 3-4 weeks, and then my manager got in contact with me, and then kind of took it from there. I didn't really sign a full contract. It was just a training one. It was just a short-term one for 3 months for the pre-season, and then I think just went there, just trained hard. Absolutely died the first 2 weeks I was there because it was so hot.
The heat.
The heat in that first 2 weeks, I was something else. But then after that, just eventuated into like a full-time position here.
Awesome.
Mate, speaking of the heat, Z, I've got an Instagram question from Z_Togiyatama. How many do-rags? How many do-rags do you have, and do you wash them? Now,
I think I used to have at least 5, and then
That's sick.
I used to have 5, and then like I started wearing them around the club in Manly, and then like some of the boys were like, "Oh yeah, what's this?" Like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, man." Like, and then next thing you know, the boys started using them. So now I've literally only got one, and it's a red one. And yes, I do wash it probably once every 2 weeks after I get a haircut.
So which boys down in Manly are rocking do-rags? Is it like Cecil and stuff, all the white boys?
Yeah, they'll pretty much just taking the piss the whole time. Yeah. Just any time we were out and there was like, like every time I came out and there was no durag, and they're like, "Where's the durag? What are you doing? Why are you not wearing the durag?" But yeah,
That's sick. I think PAC might have to get some specialty do-rags for the next ACRA Rugby down in Manly. That'd be
Seriously.
good gas. Well, but Kemu, Dow sort of touched on it. You've had a pretty storied career in regards to just getting up to where you were on Saturday, and you've a hell of a journeyman. You've obviously got Fijian heritage, but obviously born and raised in Melbourne. So, I mean, if all goes well with the Fijian Drua, would you be willing to put your hand up if, say, Fiji came over and said, "We'd love to have you play for us," be it 7s or 15s or whatever it is, or does your heart lie too far down in Melbourne or Australia? Where do you lie in that respect?
I think for myself, if Fiji came knocking at the door, definitely. Like, I think like playing here, the Drua is just kind of more connected to me with my culture, my heritage, and I guess stuff that I didn't really learn when I was growing up in Australia. So, I think right now, just play as well as I can here. I've only really played 5 minutes of Super Rugby, so I haven't really, worked up a resume for them to pick me yet. But if I get, more game time down the season and I play well enough for them to ask me to play for Fiji, then definitely.
And just how is the vibe in that Fijian side? So before the season, Big Fat asked all of us to look down the camera and give a bold prediction, and Dal actually said the Fijian Drua are going to go undefeated at home. I mean, at this stage, you're 1 from 1, beating the reigning champions. Like, the vibe in the Drua, especially this year, just seems like they are just fizzing at the bunghole for every game, and they are just firing on all cylinders. Is that the case?
Yeah, the boys had a pretty big pre-season and probably a bit of a reality check from, I guess, last year's season. I think some of them, it was their first time really stepping into a professional environment. Some of these boys have come straight from the village and then playing the local comp here and then into Super Rugby. So I think they understand, I guess, the standard and the level of rugby that they need to be at in order to compete in this competition. So the boys have worked extremely hard. Yeah, and the vibe's good. Like, I reckon I've never laughed so much, like, in a professional environment, man, because the boys here are just so funny, eh? Like once rugby's off, like, it's just jokes and like stories and like picking on each other and stuff like that. So the boys here, like like the culture's different here. Like everyone's kind of connected in a way. There's no separate groups here. There's no boys hanging out with these boys and these boys. It's kind of like when we're at training, we're all together. We all eat together, and then after training, we all go our separate ways to our families and our houses and whatnot. But yeah, I feel like the boys this year understand the challenge that's that's in front of us, and for us to do that, we've got to really be better than what they were doing last year. And I think that I think it's a good start to the season, but it's still a long way to go for us.
And I just want to get your thoughts as well. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion recently, like just looking at, say, Eddie Jones selecting Brett Hodgson with his rugby league background, or as an assistant coach, or Andy Farrell, obviously former Great Britain international in rugby league. There's a lot of crossover that's been happening in regards to the code. Your coach, Mick Byrne, former AFL player, obviously was a skills coach for the All Blacks, so very good resume. But how is it being coached by Mick Byrne? I mean, there hasn't been a lot said about him in regards to sort of his coaching style or whatever it may be, but it seems like he's getting the best out of the boys.
Yeah, to be honest, you wouldn't even think that Mick played footy or anything, because he just knows like so much rugby. Like he's obviously been around the All Black setup, so he's got a lot of experience. Coached a lot of experienced boys like Dan Carter, Burton Barrett, like obviously the greats of the All Blacks. But no, his coaching style, he's I guess skill wise, he's a great coach for skills. Overall, he's pretty attentive to what we do as a team. So obviously he has his assistants and stuff like that, but he's a pretty attentive coach and likes to look at the finer details of things than the bigger picture. And I think with the boys, the boys respond really well to Mick. But yeah.
I want to talk about, obviously being over there, the program is now in Fiji, but I want to talk about the crowd and obviously that experience you had firsthand on the weekend having your debut. But what does that environment playing in front of them, what's that like, and what does it bring to the team?
Oh, it gives you a boost. Like honestly, sometimes when I was out there on the Saturday and like that last cheer at the end when the ref blew the whistle, honestly I felt like I was at like the MCG or something watching an AFL game back home, because it was so loud. Like you can hardly hear the calls from the boys and stuff like that. And I think if you ask some of the other boys as well, they'll just say like I could not hear anything out there. And yeah, they just give you that extra boost of energy to get out there and just especially in that 80th minute when it's so hot, the boys are pretty much busted out the whole game, and you really need that crowd to get behind you to get you over the line as well. So it helps us out a lot.
Kemu, mate, well, what was it like? Have you done your Monday rewatching of the game footage, where normally you'd kind of be slinking into the room, not wanting to go in there? Were you guys bringing bags of popcorn and frozen cokes in to watch the game again?
Frozen coke.
No, this Monday was like, our normal Mondays are pretty chill, but yeah, I think a few of the boys had a big night on Saturday night, so it was a bit of a we just strolled in and just got through the work, got through what we had to do, and I think after that the Tuesday is a bit of a wake up call for us. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, the Monday was pretty chill. I think the boys had a realization of what we did as a team, and not as a team, as and obviously for the nation as well. I guess
big time.
That win for Fiji just means a lot to the people here, more so to us than anything. So yeah.
Mate, also just one more Instagram question from Chris_the5. Mate, he says, ask him where the White House is, and then he put laughy smiley face, laughy smiley face. Where's the White House, mate?
He probably would have wanted to reword that better, but it's actually just it's a nightclub here in Nandi where.
Oh, okay, I'm in.
Where people go to, so yeah.
Sick.
There's actually one in Sydney as well. A lot of people know the one in Sydney.
It's a franchise. Okay, I
really
like it. I like it.
Kemu, before you go, mate, just want to ask you, how how good is it to like now be the best footy player in your family?
No,
Did you let Rob know?
It feels good.
And he's not listening,
Yeah.
so you can be honest. Right?
No. It's good. Like, I'm so used to like just sitting back in the stands and watching Robert do the thing, and like like seeing him experience that. Then for me to experience that as well for myself, like it's cool and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I always was a favourite child. He just didn't know it.
Yeah.
I think my mum just didn't know it.
There we go.
This is what we wanted.
Yes. Let's stir the pot. Kemu, mate, thanks so much for calling in, mate. We really, really appreciate your time, and obviously trying to get some Wi-Fi over there in Fiji can be a bit tough. So we appreciate you going out of your way to do so. But mate, congrats. Absolutely huge weekend for you, mate. And look, we look forward to hopefully you getting a bit more game time in the back for the rest of the season and up the Drua, maybe.
Up the drawer.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Kemu. Kemu Valetini,
Thanks, mate.
everybody. Yes.
The Wi-Fi at the White House is pretty good, isn't it?
It's very good. Yeah, I love when you get the questions coming in from the teammates.
You literally have zero knowledge.
No context.
No
zero.
context,
That's
and you
what
can
it
just
says.
see them like,
Yeah,
like their skin
and you got to
falls a
judge
bit.
what the face is.
Yeah.
Like, have I just done something incredibly bad?
Yeah, you just want to be like,
No, we're good. We're good.
Sometimes you want to be like, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm also like, I want to know what the green spot is or whatever it was about Rob Leota. Yeah, it's like
Birthmark?
getting a bit weird. Love it.
How good's that, mate? The passion for the drawer.
The passion for the drawer, and mate, and it was just, it's so good to see like what they're doing over there
All
in
of it,
Fiji,
yeah.
mate. Like it's absolutely massive the way that they have taken this new team
Just
and turned it into this. They are the Fiji Drua.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they are like
they're
they
not-
are
they're not an
representing the
offshoot club.
entire
They're not
country.
they're not like young guys that are hoping to make it into Australia or New Zealand. They're doing their own thing and they're playing their footy and
It's
loving
absolutely
it.
awesome to
Yep.
see, man. All right, now before we kick over to the Battlers bench, we've got one more guest that we want to have a yarn to. Dialing in, it's the Tongan Thor himself, Big Nella. Nella, how you doing, brother?
Hey guys, thanks for having me, man.
No, thanks for joining us, mate. It's good to get you on the blower, mate. It's been a big few weeks for you over the last few weeks, and look, we may as well just rip the Band-Aid off and just ask you, mate. Huge news a couple of weeks ago. You re-signing not only with Rugby Australia, but then going down to the Rebels. We saw you with Rob Leota and Big Ponte and Marf a week or two ago. Huge announcement, and I just want to get your thoughts on it. You must be excited for, I guess, the change of pace going down to Melbourne. You got a few of the boys down there that you're really close to. What prompted the move?
Yeah, you guys called the other day with Leota. I was in the car. I asked him to pick me up from the airport because the Wallabies are taking over my rehab now. So, and we went to Melbourne from Sydney because I was here for the week, and then went to Melbourne to see someone for my Achilles, see how it's going, and that's how I ended up, in that call. But with the signing, I'm just happy, that I'm staying back here in Australia, and obviously with the Rebels, and honestly, it was I didn't know where I was going to go till that day, till I actually signed the contract. Then I know I was going to the Rebels. It was a bit on at the time, and I'm just glad it's all done now, and that I'm staying back in Australia. And just sucks that I'm to know that I'm actually played my last game for the Reds, and that it still makes me sad. That I won't pull on that jersey again. It's a jersey that means a lot. So much to me, and I get emotional when I want to talk about it because this club has done a lot for me, and I'd like to think that I've done a little bit for the club. And what do you call it? The other day I was driving to Ballymore, and I was just a bit sad because it's not going to happen next year. It's all done now. But yeah, mate, I'm glad that I'm staying back in Australia, and I still think that I've still need to give back to Australia, and I still hang around here around my family, and it's all done now. Now I'm just looking forward to helping the Reds in whatever way I can. Obviously, I'm not playing. I can still be there and support them, and and hopefully see them again next year on the field.
Nice, mate. How are you, Nell? Are you well?
Hey, Dan, how are you, mate? Yeah, good,
good.
mate. I'm just arrived here in Sydney for some more rehab. Now, yeah, it's good.
Talk us through the rehab. Obviously, it's a tough injury for someone in your position. Obviously, playing tight head, it's a critical position for the team. But how's it all going? How are you working through it?
No, it's gone good. The reason why we went to Melbourne to check on there's someone. I'm terrible with names, but someone that actually can tell how I'm going with the Achilles, and she said it's the best post 14 weeks, up she's seen before. She'll be able to do single calf race and everything. So and I've done that, and I can walk normally. I've done a few things. She said that I'm ahead of schedule, so which is what I want to hear, and it's everything is ahead now. So hopefully it keeps going that way.
Very good, mate. And when are we expecting to see you back on the field? What's the time frame look like?
I think I'll be back playing for Brothers for a few games around June, July.
Shit.
Oh, damn.
Damn it.
For the filth.
Yeah.
It's exciting, though. Love it.
Yeah, so that's obviously, wouldn't want to go straight back to international level. I'd like to. That's what I'd like to play. Some club footy, and Eddie reckons it's a good idea. So we'll see what happens. But with the Wallabies, I'm aiming for either the All Blacks second All Blacks game or Argentina here in Australia. At the moment, they reckon I'll be back a lot earlier than that. So I don't know. So, but I'll definitely be back playing club footy around June, July.
Nice, mate.
If you don't know, I signed with North. I'm playing for North.
Don't worry, it's only a
I'm
matter of
joking,
time
mate.
before
I'm joking.
Look at him. His heart just fell out. I love that. Look at Dal squirm. Nella, mate, obviously a big decision going down to Melbourne moving from Queensland. I don't know whether you took this into account, though, because I did a Google map of how far it is from Ballymore to Kelvin Grove KFC. And Zach, if you pop it up, at the moment we're sitting at 5 minutes, right? But then from Princes Park,
Just ask me, mate. I would have told you.
but then I did some quick maths, right? And then from Princes Park, where you train in Melbourne, we will train in Melbourne, to the nearest KFC in Carlton. Put it up, Zachy. It's 9 minutes, mate. Oof. So that's nearly doubling the time from training to the feed.
Well,
and I don't know whether you took that into account, mate.
Well, the thing is,
Here
I
it
won't
is.
be trying. Be coming to me, mate.
See, he's already thought of it. There you go.
Yes, work smarter, not harder,
That's
Nella.
it, mate.
It's part of the deal, mate.
They're part of the deal. He's got a good manager, right?
Yeah, well, I mean KFC being announced as a partner with the Rebels, did that sort of sweeten the deal for you to go down to the Rebels there, mate?
Oh, mate, lifetime membership, can't turn it down.
Card carrying, yeah.
Well, I actually wanted to follow on. You sort of touched on it. You will be playing for Brothers, maybe North, later on in the year. But you do have a very unique story in regards to how you found yourself at Ballymore and obviously in Melbourne from 2024 onwards. So, I mean, you were sort of that teen sensation coming out of Sacred Heart College. You had that video go viral of you kicking ass, and then you found yourself signing with the Reds, and your brother came over. Like, just run us through what sort of went through your head as a 17-year-old kid deciding to sign with the Reds, and then obviously spend the better part of 7 or 8 years there.
Man, it was a lot of expectation for me coming from New Zealand, with the video went viral, and everybody was expecting me to be the next big thing, and there was a lot of pressure on me because obviously I was a prop, as as a young prop, you can't just do that in internet. I mean, in Super Rugby, you have to do what you need to be good at, which is scrumming and maul and line outs and whatever. And I wasn't, I was known for running the ball, and so I came to Brothers, and that's when everything started. I found it really hard, trying to scrum, and obviously still had a lot of fun running around. But I think my second year, I found it like really enjoyable, like going back to Brothers. I was enjoying it. We were playing good. We were winning it. I think around that time, I was more enjoying. I enjoyed more being at Brothers. I guess in a good way being at the Reds, because at the time I was young. I wasn't sure what I was doing at the Reds. I was like, still, it's just like, here's the big boys. There's them and there's you. I was like, when I went back to Brothers, like it's all the same. I was like happy. I was enjoying it, you know. But then I realized, if you wanna, be with the big boys, you gotta play like one. You gotta, earn your spot in the team. So sort of, I started, bro. 2014, 15, and then it took me like 2.5 years. 2016, the end of the year, and I finally get my chance to debut for the Reds. And when that happened, when I finally get that chance, I told myself, you know what, you hold on to that, because you'll make sure that you don't go with your brothers in a good way. So since I debuted for the Reds in 2016, I've been playing since, all the way. So yeah.
How does that 2016 Brothers Premiership stack up? I mean, you've got a hell of a resume. You've got all the accolades you can probably get in Australian rugby. But, I mean, that was a pretty special team, that Brothers side. And to be able to win a premiership alongside your brother Criff must be pretty bloody special.
Oh, mate, it's up there, one of the best moments in my, rugby career, man. It was special, man. I remember, I was driving my little ute at the time that morning, driving to Ballymore with my brother, and I told him, man, we either come back sad or happy, and we definitely came back happy that night. It was the start of something special for me, I really enjoyed it that time. We didn't really, we had a good team, but we didn't. We had the same team throughout the year. We didn't, have like any Super Rugby like players coming back to. Like it was just us. We somehow fought our way out, and we won it. It was, I think I watched the game, the full game like a few times now, where like when I'm bored, especially when I did my Achilles, I had nothing else to do, so I kept going and watching it 2016 and all these other games, and it's special to me, man. Not everybody in Super Rugby can say they won a premiership, in club footy, so I can say that I won one.
Hell yeah, and a Super Rugby premiership as well, Super Rugby AU.
Well, there you go.
Pretty esteemed, mate.
Yeah.
Nella, we know you as obviously the rugby player, and we feel like you've been around forever. We've seen you almost, transition into a young man, and you are a young man now. But you've become a father recently. What's that been like for you?
It's been really good, man. Obviously at the start, it's a bit hard because it's all about the mom, the baby doesn't know the dad still, he's part of the family. They just, they want the mom, but like it gets better every month, they started, looking at you, start laughing, then they give you that reaction when you come home. It's just, it just, it changes everything, it sort of, makes you appreciate things, or how do I say, there's some things are not as important to you now that now that you have that. It's sort of. I remember when Mrs. got pregnant, Lucan said to me, "Mate, enjoy your sleep now because everything's about to change." And I said, like, you don't really know it until it happens to you. And I'm like, holy fuck. And when they say it's gonna change you, it fucking changes
Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've got a sick
does
wife
get
and bum at
better.
home,
It does
man.
get better.
I know exactly where you come
I
from.
love
man.
it.
you. Mate, it's like, the pregnancy, like, when your missus get pregnant, it's like she's on her period like for 12 months. Like, nah, but nah, it gets better, man. It's
It does get
it's
better.
we're happy, we're going good, and I think it's what I need.
Love it.
She's been really good to me, and he's everything to me. So no, it's good, man.
Awesome.
Mate, I've got a question from...
Oh, here we go.
Don't worry about it then. Nah, I've got a question from Dave Vaya. He goes, ask Nella
Dave.
about his Ducky Fuhu days at Adelaide, please. It's a lot of...
Oh, first of all, I was not that kid. Obviously, they're talking about fighting in Tonga.
Obviously.
Obviously, that's
Yeah.
what I gathered.
My old school, and Dave Vaya's old school hated each other. We're always fighting.
Oh, yeah.
But I was one of those good kids that never part of the fight. So I can't answer that because I was never fighting.
Mate, with your Achilles injury, do you think your calves weren't quite big enough, or what do you think?
It was always a topic of discussion. We were like, probably needs to
Oh,
bulk up in the
mate.
calf
You should have bulked your calves up a bit more. They weren't glistening enough.
I think because last year I did my calf, the left one, and during rehab, I think I focused too much on my left one that I, didn't do anything with the right one. So my Achilles was like, you know what? I'm gonna make you do some work here. So now I've learned my lessons. Everything I've done on my bad one, I'm doing on my good one. So so we'll get some work done.
Well, Nella, you've got a long way to go, obviously, with your rehab. Got a few more months before you get back out on the park. What's actually happening off the pitch for you? Because we always talk here that you're one of the biggest personalities in the game. I mean, you've got... Like, you're just larger than life, both on the field and off it. I mean, you've been spending a bit of time doing a bit of commercial work for Stan and stuff like that. Like, do you get approached much to do much of that sort of stuff, or like on your Instagram as well, doing your scare cam stuff? Or you got a bit of time now to maybe focus on Nella, the personality a bit?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I look back a few days ago, and I realized, man, I haven't posted anything in a while. All the scary stuff, or all like the stuff that about me, like me being me. That I haven't done that. I think I'm just being busy being a dad and doing my rehab, that I haven't sort of like done this stuff. But I've been doing some stuff, some. Obviously, there's some more stuff coming up with Stan. I'm not gonna, you're just gonna have to wait for that. Some more content for, I think, with the World Cup and stuff. So
Love it.
And some other stuff, but nothing too exciting. My main focus now is my rehab. Obviously, the main goal is for the World Cup. And I can't look too hard on my. I need to focus on my rehab first, and there's guys out there who's working hard and fighting for sport in the World Cup. So it's not gonna Eddie's not gonna hand it up to me. I have to be fit and drop a few kilos and do my work. I can't just expect to walk in there and get the spot because it's not gonna happen. So I've gonna earn my way in there. So in doing that, I have to really focus on my rehab, get it done, and hopefully be in the squad, be on a plane to go to where? Tokyo? Nah, it's France.
He's still got it. I love it.
Singing and zagging all over the place,
He's an
mate.
actor. I know it.
He is.
Nella, just a quick fire 5 questions for you, okay?
Yeah.
If you could have any athlete from any other team, any other sport in the world play for you for the Wallabies, who would it be?
Does it has to be a rugby player?
Nah, give me any
No,
sport.
any athlete.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo. What's been the highlight of your career so far?
The highlight of my career so far. I'd say probably the Reds winning beat the Brumbies at home, that final, 2020.
Hell yeah.
Love it. Favorite teammate?
Oh, teammate. It has to be Lucane Murphy, Alex Murphy.
Least favorite teammate?
Dan Zander.
That was the quickest he's answered any of these questions.
You can think about it.
Rifle that one off quick.
You can think about it.
Is that why you're going to North? Because he's at UQ now.
And finally, mate, who's been the most influential person in your career? Who's helped you the most?
There's actually a lot of people that have helped me. I don't. I would say maybe you guys probably know Cameron Lillicrapper from the Reds. He's someone that have helped me a lot with earned scrum and time. I mean scrum, and he's been at the Reds since I've been there. So he helped me a lot, and it's probably him.
Awesome stuff. Well, Nella, mate, thanks so much for dialing in. We really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat to us, mate. You've been an absolute
worries,
riot,
guys.
man. It's been absolutely awesome. But, mate, all the best with the rehab on your Achilles, mate. We can't wait to see you back out on the pitch. And hopefully you're not playing the doggies when you do lace up.
I
for
think I'm
Brothers
back
later on.
around that time. I'm playing the doggies.
He's good.
I'm just hoping the Rebels have a game that week because they might all come and play with the doggies.
Yes. We'll own it.
And the Drua. Yeah.
Yeah, we got ourselves a premiership. We'll own that one.
Whatever, man.
But, mate, no, it's been absolutely awesome, and we can't wait to get you back on. But all the best with the rehab. And, mate, welcome to Burn City, baby. You're going to absolutely chop up in Melbourne from next season,
That's
brother.
it. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Cheers, Nella.
Thanks, mate.
All right, see you guys.
Taniela, Tupou, everybody.
Hey,
Absolutely awesome. It's a bit quiet trying to get one person to clap because we don't have anybody else in the studio. But, mate, that was interesting. Cameron Lillicrap, his most influential. I mean, he harped on about, like, he admits, he's like, I was the next big thing, but I'm a prop and I can't scrummage.
Never scrummed before.
And
he... I find it funny when he said Cameron Lillicrap, who's been there since I've been there. It's like he's been there since before he was born.
Yeah, Cameron Lillicrap.
Doing
Yeah,
scrums
I think
at the Reds.
Yeah, out-ages the Reds.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to
that's,
see that, like, but like Nella has been in the spotlight from the age of 17, right? Yeah. And he's had this storied career, and he's come from Tonga to New Zealand to Queensland, now to Melbourne, and he's played for the Wallabies and all the biggest arenas, and he goes back to the Red Scrum coach as being the most influential. And it just goes to show, like guys like Thorny, Jim Mackay, Cameron Lillicrap, they've really done so well to develop, like, this young crop of Reds players. Whether or not you think they've got a higher ceiling from here on out, a lot of them probably do, but they've done so well to get them to where they are now.
Yeah, 100%. They've taken them since they were under 19, under 20s, and produced, a vast array of Wallabies along the way. And they've got to take credit for that. Or you've got to give them credit for it. You know what I mean? Specifically with Nella. And I think if you do look at it and you break it down for him, there's probably someone who he holds so highly because, without that skill set, he wouldn't be where he was.
Without Crapper, you don't know who he is.
Correct.
Dal, do you reckon he would have said you as number 2 or top 5?
You were waiting
minimum?
for it.
Well, I was waiting for
You were
it.
like,
Yeah, I looked over at Dow when he said that and saw a little
he
tear.
was-
You're like,
Nella was flustered.
Is it
He
hot
wasn't thinking fully. He didn't, he would have said you.
Yeah, I thought so.
that was good, Bance, getting the KFC map up, big fat ass. That was real
I
good.
did that before I left. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to work this in. I'm just going to go for it.
Was that actually you doing it? Because we are trying to arrange a media day down in Melbourne. You're like, I wonder where the nearest KFC is. So you're like, oh shit, might be able to use
9
this Mella.
minutes. I already had the file. Yeah.
Yeah, you already had that screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty,
How
well,
good
mate,
power.
2 huge interviews back
Big
to
time.
back. Absolutely rifle through it. So, without further ado, Big Fat Das, now it's time for a little bit of Battler's Bench.
Battler's bench. Well, glad we had Nella on because the props. After that, hold on. Let's go for the. We actually have another clip from the Waratahs Media Day down there at Waratah HQ, and this one was on who has got the best and worst rig from the Waratahs.
And who's got the best rig and the most sloppy rig at the club?
Best rig. Best rig.
Oh yeah.
The best rig would be Mark.
Marky Mark, yep.
Yeah, definitely the best rig is Mark. For sure.
Yeah.
Takes his body. Yeah, he was
But rumour has it he rubs cocoa butter on it every night. Is that true?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he does. I just made that up.
He's actually got a bottle.
Bro, does he actually?
He's got this new Fiji one. It's the only thing you can buy it over there. So.
You know what? I know the one.
Yeah. No, I won't lie. It smells unreal, but he doesn't like sharing it around. So.
Yeah.
Best rig's Mark for sure.
Marky, yeah.
Yeah, I think Marky's a bit of a specimen. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a Greek god in the way he's built.
Fijian god? Fijian. Yeah.
Boy, there's a few of them, man.
Yeah.
Boy, some of the shittest rigs.
The men's team.
Hey.
I'm kidding.
Young Max Jorgensen. He's put on 5 kilos. He's ripped.
Yeah.
Brass.
Hey.
Boy.
Yeah? Are they?
The other Fijian fella in the team.
Who?
Mark.
Boy.
Brass. Have you seen him?
Yeah.
Names.
Boy, he's like.
Describe it.
Best rig can't go past Charlie Gamble. He's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, best rig, Charlie Gamble, and as much as I don't want to say it, Jake Gordon's got a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Give that to him.
And worst.
Oh god, this is a harsh one. Who you gonna throw on there? Got someone. I'm gonna feel really bad saying
Who
it.
do you look and just go, fucking hell, that's...
They didn't show it.
They didn't actually
Next
show it.
week, Big Fat Das.
Speaking of possibly the worst rigs in the teams, let's stick to the props. After seeing Matt Gibbons try for the Rebels, just in clear space, the dummy, the go. Let's quickly watch this clip.
Ely dragging them across the deck.
Slides straight through.
And going under the sticks.
What about the acceleration on the man?
Look at that show and go.
Bang, bang.
Mind you, the hookers and the props that in touch footy. You never do this in a game. What are you doing sitting there in the helm? Get out of there. Look at him.
That was that was like a touch before training type play. Like a
Big
run
time.
off me. Whoa!
Yeah, straight through.
Like even the big.
And then, did you guys actually see the state of his lip after the game?
Oh, mate.
So if we show this one, so this is post.
Oh my god!
So already that looks pretty bad. So he scored that try with that lip, and then he.
Right, as soon as I did that little thing and saw no one ahead of me, I was back like I was at school again, eh? Straight home, throwing the ball up in the air, love it.
How good, I mean, look, it's not without some sort of damage. What about just...
He can't even speak.
He
and then
he sounds like his brother when we had him on the show.
And I think he actually flips his lip up pretty soon.
Sorry about I'm laughing because it's almost like you've just come from the dentist. Your bottom lip's not even moving. Can you just show us one more time? We can just try and zoom in. why you wear mouth guards, kids.
Got to wear a mouth guard, right? So that try sent us down a little bit of a loop, trying to find some of the best prop work, tries and/or just work. Obviously, who pops into mind? Matt Dunning.
Oh, yes.
Look at that. Look at him go. The man shake himself. Look at him go.
Look at the man shake.
Just picks it
Look
off.
at him. Yes.
He's got good form. To be honest, he has good form. But this one's 8-man overlap, pinch. And then, they're looking around. Couple.
That's
Come
Stephen
on.
Markham-esque, eh?
Look at this. Pinch, he is cooked though. I'll give him that.
Look at how gassy he is
To be
there,
honest, he's just standing there. Look at that.
Look at him
The
go.
knee
But
strap.
how about this to a ready IE of all people?
Now, so that was some of his. So obviously, Dunning had skill.
Had sex appeal too.
And then some. And there's that drop goal that the math gods didn't treat him well on that. They needed a try to get a bonus point, and he won the game for him.
They needed the 3-try bonus point, I think it was, or 4-try bonus point.
Yeah, but they can still score again.
Right?
Good techers.
Good techers. Look at that.
Good techers, man. Like, that's a perler of a drop goal.
Surprised Takiri didn't do the Sam Norton night and give him a shove in the back. And, what
I
are you
don't think
doing,
he
buddy?
had the balls to do that to
No,
Matt
no,
Dunning.
not the man shake himself. And then we just got some some community rugby best tries here.
Check him out. That is sick.
No.
Oh, that's so
And then
good.
And then we got all the best prop tries. Here's one by Dickie Bands.
Watch this. Steven onto it. Buzz!
The full stride. He's in full stride there, I think.
Oh, shall we go? Oh, take a seat, Mertz.
Was that Mertz or was that King Carlos?
Oh, was that
Mertz?
King Carlos? It was
King
Carlos.
Carlos.
I told you
Mertens,
last year. I said he was overrated. Told ya.
I would have expected that from Mertens, to be honest. He usually just used to try and just jump in your spokes.
But how good's this, mate?
Oh.
Just how short are the strides?
Doesn't even pretend to. And then just
Latrons, bruv. Cheer, mate. Cheer who? So sick, man. Aaron Major trying to cover it up. No dice. That's 50 metres too, eh?
And this one's set up by Oz Durant, but it's Drakanotsky. Oz Durant.
That's so sick. The Ox.
There's nothing better than seeing just big fellas in flight. In gaps where they should not be there.
Mate. Oh, mate. Go from 6 to midnight watching this stuff.
And then here we go. I think this was his first ever Wallaby try. Greg Holmes in full flight. Rided him home.
How good's the commentary, eh?
Phil Kearns.
Yeah.
Well, look at his face. Memories of Richard Vance from South Africa. The strain, the lactic acid's coming under his legs. I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there.
And if you notice with all of these tries, the scoring technique, there's no
it's
delicacy.
just
There's
fall to the
no,
ground.
it's just get over. And then there's this try that I think it was an international.
Trigger,
what
good
happened
strong
here?
carry there
Yes.
from Trigger.
Just some great prop work.
Good pill. Kaboo finds the wide
Yeah, straight through. Full confidence. I thought that was a bigger step than it was.
Big fat ass up over the line.
That was elegant. That one was elegant. Speaking of elegance,
That gave me goosebumps.
That did.
just
That
watching
did.
That, eh?
Speaking of elegance,
That was honestly the best game of football I've ever commentated. It was the crowd, the players. That if only Konza could kick a fucking penalty goal.
wait, not this again, J-Ball. Speaking of elegance
still.
and front rowers having some elegance, we've also got one last clip of an elegant front rower
Oh fuck!
in full flight. In full flight. So if you see, there's a front rower that goes tup to tup, whack, down. Now that was good technique. Point up the stairs. Whoa. Right? So, that's That's just the as we. Oh, he rewound it. Oh, that's just some front rowers just playing some good footy, good technique, open spaces. Let them run all day, I say.
Who's that?
That was J-Ball.
Have
you paid for that vase yet? Or
No. I think Gorko actually said he's like, if you make any money off YouTube, we'll go halves. All right, I don't know.
Halves or nothing is still nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So
half of 0 is 0. But yeah, people ask, they're like, why don't you drink anymore? Shit like that, man.
Have you part of the 500,000 of people that have watched that video? 530,000, I think it's at Zachy. Yeah, about 530.
Great.
Let's try and get it to 650. Right? Perfect dismount on YouTube.
It is, yeah.
That's Battler's Bench. J-Ball, back to you.
Thanks for that, Big Fat Das. Appreciate it. I'll give you a round of applause on that one. That was actually a very good little segment, Big Fat Das. Good stuff. But actually, we've got a bit of a scoop next week. We've got an interview with the new Wallabies defence coach, Brett Hodgson, don't we?
Yes.
Did you tee that up?
Yes, possibly that's in the works. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mate, that's absolutely huge. First Eddie, now Brett.
First Eddie, now. We're just naming them all. Who else? Mal Meninga.
Mal Meninga's going to be on. Yeah, that too.
Announcing his political run.
That was good, eh? That was bloody good. All right, Big Fat Das. That's another bloody awesome segment out of the Battlers bench. Now, just real quick, while we were on the blower to Nella, just talking in regards to the Reds and all this sort of stuff, it was actually announced, Atco says done deal, Reds rugby and Wallabies flanker Fraser McWright has re-signed on a 2-year deal. Big things ahead for the hard-working forward. 4 Aussie, 7 of the competition so far. Got to agree on all counts there, but Dallin, that's absolutely massive. We've heard from guys like Wilso and Fraser in the past that they just love Queensland. They don't want to play anywhere else. They want to play for the Wallabies, and they want to play rugby. Like that, to see that, it is just so heartening to see, eh?
Yeah, it is. It's exciting for not only just the Queensland Reds, but for the Wallabies as well. Obviously, there's a lot of young talent, and these boys aren't young anymore. They're 24. Starting to get into the prime of their careers. And with what's ahead in the next, 4 or 5 years, it's exciting to have a lot of them sticking around. Obviously, I think there'll be a few more, moving down the track in the next couple of weeks that we'll see. But Fraser, it's exciting for him to be around through to the lines.
And you have to say he's heir apparent to Michael Hooper, and potentially heir apparent to Michael Hooper in the Wallabies fold in regards to the captaincy. I mean, there's been a lot said in regards to Fraser McWright's playing ability, but his leadership, evident, by the Aussie under-20s. Grand final run and all this sort of stuff, but he is just such a wise head on a young body, eh?
Yeah, he certainly is. He was when he first started, coming into the fold, as the Aussie 20s captain. But he does a terrific job leading around the park. But he's just a cool, calm head, and he's an intelligent bloke who can lead a team. And it's exciting for Queensland to have another leader like that, and then potentially, maybe down the track he does become Wallaby captain.
Hell yeah, grammar boy too. Doing the boys proud.
Now that's you speak of leading from the front and having confidence in your team, and him signing on for another couple of years with the Reds, Australian rugby, that kind of says it all.
100%. I thought you were about to say, speaking of leading from the front and being ahead and being able to back your team and all this sort of stuff. We were going to roll into roll
the same clip. Oh, what?
Roll into the tipping comp because of the weekend just gone.
That was a good
the
segue.
Battlers,
which you forced.
It was a good segue if you'd have done it.
No. Just before we move on, that game where you scored and we won.
I think you remember it distinctly.
Yeah. Every year on that day, the boys always message Conza.
That's sick. That's so brutal. That's the most brothers filth shit ever, eh? Yeah.
No wonder Nella doesn't want to play with brothers anymore. Look at that. That is gross, Dal.
You're just salty.
That's gross. I don't even like it. That's gross.
That's sick.
No.
That is sick.
Who does it?
Everyone. Everyone.
That's bad. We'll talk about it after the show.
Sounds like a real Mal Fayez.
Speaking of after the show,
tipping. Yes, the tipping comp. Somehow, after 3 rounds, the Battlers are up 2-0. So, as we said last week, they all backed the same, except for the Battlers backed in the Rebels. Not only to beat the spread, but they actually came away with the dub. So, Still, starters going 4 from 6 against the line, but the Battlers, man, 5 from 6 against the line, and the only one they got wrong was the Chiefs didn't win by more than 22.5. They won by 21. Mate, the Battlers are killing
we were iffy
it.
about that 21-22, and friends and I, we couldn't agree. And
So you just went with the Chiefs.
Yeah, just went with the Chiefs.
But, mate, it's pretty bloody good, man.
It's only 2, though. It's only 2.
You've got the shit munchers against the former pros, and
It's true.
you got to pick your game up, Dal.
We do. We
Speaking of picking up your game, let's go forward to this week then. So we've got the Canes 15. So all the home sides are favourites. The Canes 15.5 points. They're giving the Tars 15.5 points at home. Who are you going?
Tars.
All right. They went the Tars too. Shit, are we going to have another one of these? All right. Chiefs 23.5 points over the Rebels at home.
Chiefs are at home.
Mm-hmm. 23.5 points.
Rebels.
Oh, that's where the point of difference is. Let's see what happens. Big fat Tars. All right. Blues, literally, it's a half a point favourites over the Satyrs at home. So you pitch literally just picking who's winning this one. This Blues or the Satyrs. Blues at home.
And you can't pick draw, which I've already had an argument with Jay about. You can't pick a draw.
You can't pick your own line, bro. But, so, I mean, you look at this one. The Blues at home. Blues probably the form team in the competition outside of the Chiefs. But the Satyrs, reigning 6-time champs.
I just don't think the Crusaders lose 2 in a row.
Yeah,
but they just...
But
they
do the Satyrs lose? Do the Satyrs go 1-3 to start a Super Rugby season?
No, they did just lose Fletcher Newell, though, as well. He's out as well. I'm going to say... Crusaders win.
Crusaders win.
Yeah.
Battlers did the same. Brumbies 18.5 point favourites over Moana at home.
Yeah, Brumbies.
Ooh, that's different too. Highlanders 17.
What? They went
Moana Pacifica to beat the spread. 18.5 points. Das, run us through your reasoning behind that.
I panicked. No. I just... Brumbies aren't a team that'll just run away and really put away a team. They'll put their whole bench on. They'll still play for position. You know what I mean? They don't... I panicked, man. I refer to my first answer. Nada.
Highlanders giving 17.5 points to the Force on a Sunday arvo down in Otago.
Oh, that's the hardest one.
Because it shouldn't be too cold. Sunday arvo footy.
So the Force are up 17...
17.5. So 2.5 tries. Converted tries.
I'm going to say the Force.
Ooh, nice. Now we're getting a bit of difference here. Reds 13.5 point favourites over the Drua at home.
Reds.
You going the Reds?
Yeah.
Oh, Battlers went the Drua. So this could be make or break. This could get the starters in the game, but we're starting to get to the stage of the season where you've probably got your clear winners picked. But I mean, when you're betting against the line,
Line's hard, yeah.
But it is hard. But it does sort of highlight, like it does make it difficult because some of these are like 3-try wins. But really, the Chiefs are giving 23.5 points to the Rebels. The Rebels have been pretty bloody good. And we saw on the weekend the Chiefs against the Highlanders, it took them a while to put them to the sword. So, I don't know. Like it'll be interesting to see sort of what happens in Super Rugby for the back end. But good times.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of
Still
variance there,
spicy.
which is good gas.
Speaking
but
of good times... No,
roll it, Zach. All right, now it's time for our rugby segment. Let's just knock it on the head. Dallin, starting with yours. Josefa Tamani from the Fijiana Drua, mate. Absolutely awesome. He is so exciting.
He's been outstanding. The first 3 weeks of Super Rugby, he's been phenomenal. Obviously, on the weekend, just got up again. Wonderful try on that right edge, as we see here, but he's just been everywhere. He's phenomenal. Like he's just an elite athlete, but just gets through so much work.
Awesome sighting for the Drua. It's good to see guys like him, but also say like Ilaisa Drua Sese and stuff like that going back to Fiji. I mean, Joe Tamani for the Wildfires last year, I think he actually picked up the PAC Player of the Week 2, maybe 3 weeks in a row, just because he is that electric. Like, he's got this insane skill level, but he's also his ability to break tackles and then get these offloads is absolutely awesome.
It is.
Like his work around the field is second to none, mate. He is a gun.
He's giant.
It was very impressive.
He's big.
And when that
He
hand
looks
comes
like
down,
he's bulked up a bit this season too.
Oh, he
'cause
definitely has.
He was
He was
a
a string
string bean
bean.
last
Yeah.
year, man. Like he was built like a 12-year-old vegetarian. But like he's bulked up now and he's looking bloody good, man. So excited to see Joey Tamani chopping up. Doss, as we said, was a late scratching this evening, but he had to go with Carter Gordon. Carter Gordon, big fat Doss, is coming along in leaps and bounds. But just look at the stats there. 1 try, 5 carries. Like he's starting to get so many more quivers to his bow and shit like that. Like just the dinky little kick turning around the opposition. And then he's got this long kicking game as well. Like he's actually becoming the complete package for an Aussie 10.
He's getting that. He's consistent. He used to have flashes of brilliance last year. His consistency to keep doing that kind of work is this year. It's really starting to compound. But is it a coincidence that he's playing this well and he has that rude hair? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. The complete package, right? He's got the hair's on point. He's playing good footy.
That right there highlights Carter Gordon to a T as well. It's like Doss touched on it last week. He's a mongrel, mate.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 years ago when he was first year out of school playing for the Doggies, I remember I was still drinking because I may or may not have slept from the night before and I was shit canned at the footy, having a whale of a time. And it was brothers against the Rebels. Oh, the Rebels. West.
No, Freudian slip.
Don't ixnay on the Rebo, okay? You can't.
But mate, I think brothers ended up coming back to win it with 3 tries in the back end of the game. But Carter Gordon down on that hillside, standing on the hill, just the crowd was revving him up, and 3 or 4 times he shot out of the line as a 17-year-old and just smoked blokes. He folded T-Bone Maloney. Like, no mean feat. And like, that's what he is, mate. Like, he is a mongrel, man. He's got, like, real piss and vinegar about him, and it's just awesome to see. So, I love seeing him playing some good, consistent footy, and I love the shit chop. Friends, yours, Harry Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did I say Friends? Yes. Big fat ass.
No,
Not the krill switch. Big fat ass. You talk for krill switch.
Mate, just Harry Wilson. Mate, he was just doing his Harry Wilson things. Those hit-ups he does, where he has no regard for his body, and he just throws it at the line. And he's
I think he had 24 carries on the weekend.
So his work rate as well. So he's not just doing that once every 10 minutes big hit-up kind of thing. He's actually, see him get back there?
Yeah.
Like, he's just, just that big body, number 8, just getting around the park. Harry Wilson.
No, he's been immense. Like, his work rate has been outstanding. And to me, he's almost the Form 8 of the competition, right?
Yep.
Him and Fraser McWright, 7 and 8, they've been outstanding. He, I feel like, has a new lease on life because of, Eddie coming in. He feels like he's now a chance to represent his country again, which is what he wants to do. So, for me, he's just been leading from the front, which is exactly what the Reds need.
That's 2 spring tours now that he's missed consecutively. And after big Super Rugby campaigns and after all right Wallaby campaigns, but he's clearly got a chip on his shoulder now. And he's gone back, spent 2 pre-seasons getting better. And we actually spoke about that, is it good for him to spend these pre-seasons working on his game? And it looks like it has, because he's now he is ripping and tearing. So it's good to see Wilso chopping up.
Yeah, big time.
Harry Wilson.
Harry Wilson.
For you big fat ass, it's Samasoni Taukei'aho.
I just love, as we talked about it before, I just love seeing a big 2 yet again. Like you've got Dane Coles and you got Cody Taylor, but Sammy Soni, he's just another 15 kilos of him, and just him bullocking everywhere, just running at blokes.
He loves
right.
it.
I don't know, man. Like
he's been getting that starting All Blacks 2 jersey in the back end of last season, and quite rightly. And that's no mean feat. You've got Dane Coles, who is so highly regarded and so well respected, and almost had a lock on that jersey until Cody Taylor came along and did what Cody Taylor does.
Yep.
And for someone to come along and edge out Cody Taylor, like, that's not easy to do.
Yep.
And, mate, if he keeps going the way he's going, there's an argument to be made he could be the best hooker in the world. Like,
100%.
He is phenomenal, man. And, like, you don't see so many big ball-running front rowers that also are good at the technical aspects.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, his scrummaging
you
is
usually
very
lose
good.
good
Line out.
scrummager, terrible around the park,
Exactly.
or good around the park,
Yeah.
but you lose at the scrums.
But he's a big body with a big motor too,
Yeah.
and then also technically very sound. So
Yeah.
Semisoni Talco is absolutely awesome. And then mine, I wanted to say the entirety of the French side, but it had to be Thibault Flamont. Like, this guy is an absolute freak. 6'8", went to the Loughborough University and said he was a fly half, and the coach went, nah. Come on in, turned him into a second rower, ended up at Wasps, then at Toulouse, I think it is, and since then made his debut against Argentina last year, and he's been absolutely immense, mate. He is an absolute gun. And gone a roundabout way. Lived in Singapore, then moved to Belgium, so he's never really been on the radar. And hence why he sort of has come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But after his debut against Argentina in November, he's been so good, man. And
How does a Frenchman end up at Loughborough University?
well, because he's from Belgium, actually.
And he was
so
a
he's
5'8",
like,
so
yeah, well, he's Belgian, and he was like, so, you know, you look at, say, a Roman Ntamack, right, who's been literally in the Toulouse system since he was 5 years old, his old man, Etienne, or whatever the hell, playing at the 99 World Cup. Like, he's been on the radar the entire time. This guy lived in Singapore with his family, then moved to Belgium, and then was like, not really in the system, so I'll go to uni and get my international business degree. Was like, I'll play 5th grade fly half, and the coach is like, shut the hell up. Turned him into a second rower, and then he started at Wasps, so, you know, got his Guernsey playing in the English Premiership, and then, Toulouse are like, no, come here, please. Yeah. So 25 years old, hell of a story, but, 6'8", mobile. Mate, he is so sick.
Carving up
Just
the
what the
bombs.
French need is another awesome second rower, because they already stole Manny Miafu from us as well.
Bitter.
Very bitter,
Very
actually.
bitter.
Any Hoozlebees, that rounds out this week's episode of the PAC Rugby Show. It's been a long one, so thanks very much for tuning in. Dallin, Big Fat Das, thanks for showing up. Krill Switch, thanks for nothing. Dos, mate, all the very best. Bub is looking like it's going to be on the way. If not soon, it'll be in the next couple of days. So, mate, wishing you all the best, Dos. It's going to be absolutely awesome for you, man. Expecting your 4th kid. Jesus Christ. Nella thought he was tired. Dos hasn't slept in about 8 years. But it's been an absolutely awesome episode once again. Thanks so much, everybody, tuning in. Zachy Boy on the 1s and 2s from DoubleTake Studios. Couldn't do it without him. But in the meantime, enjoy your footy this weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Ciao.